Third down and 20.
Thing that I was just kind of randomly thinking about, and that's the cap space situation this year. In about a week, maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks, we're going to see an absolutely wild free agency period. Most of the teams in the league didn't even know how much cap space they had, and I'm not sure they even do right now. And I know a lot of GMs are upset by it. I would be. It's completely screwing with your plans of your off season. So that just got me thinking. We're doing these mock off seasons. About half of the league is really strapped for cash. Well, what about the teams that have cash? The teams that have cash always control the market in any other offseason to begin with. But now in an offseason where it's just tough to come up with anything, you're going to have to be cutting guys to make space. A whole lot more teams are in that, oh man, we just don't have, we're just losing so many guys, we can't pay everyone. Well, what about the teams that have the cash? And the team that struck out to me the most was the New England Patriots. I remember watching one of the final Patriots games of the season, and the ESPN commentators were saying, oh man, this is going to be a hard pill for the Patriots to swallow. They're going to be going through a rebuilding period. Oh, this is going to be tough on all of them. They're not going to be good for a while. I don't know about that. Just looking at this offseason, the way that things are going to be playing out, this might have really played right into Belichick's hands, because this is a team that, to begin with, has been better than any other team in the league at taking other teams' trash, players that they've cut, that they think suck, and turning them into above-average starters. Complemented with insane players like the Stephon Gilmores and the Tom Bradys, and there's a whole long list. They've won Super Bowls. Well, now that you give the Patriots the fourth most cap space in the league, you give them high-quality draft picks, and you give them a ton of players coming back onto their team from opting out, I think that this is a team that is being incredibly underrated in what they can do next season. All the talk in that division is on the Dolphins and the Bills, but let's not forget about Bill Belichick and this Patriots team. I think that they could easily have one of the top off seasons in the league. You pick up a quarterback in the draft, whether it's trading up or getting one that falls to 15, and all of a sudden this could be a team that's back in the playoffs. Not necessarily that they're a Super Bowl favorite, but everyone seems to be thinking of the Patriots as just another team. I don't know about that. What are you thinking, Steed?
No, I think this is a team that definitely could get back in the mix easily. You saw it last year. They played with, it seemed like half their roster was out because of COVID, and Cam Newton coming back, and he just didn't really play well at all. Still went 7-9 and was in the playoff hunt for a good chunk of the season. Beat good teams like the Ravens. Like this, when you still have the best coach in the league at the helm, you can't count them out. And I feel like, of course they're going to have to figure out quarterback, whether that's through the draft or picking up somebody for damaged goods again. But, yeah, I think this team could easily get back in the mix because, even though the Dolphins had a really good season, and I love Flores, and I think this team's on the come up, that was one season. Maybe it was a fluke year. Like, it might have been the same for the Patriots, too. And with the cap situation as it is, they can really attack some of these really talented players and get back in the mix. The way the cap is always like, what I think about it is like the teams that have the most cap space are sitting at the poker table with all the chips.
Yep.
Other teams that are struggling to get cap but want the good players are the guys sitting there with the lesser chips and trying to ante in the pocket, and these big teams just push them out the pocket because they can afford it. And I mean, that's the way it goes. So if I'm Belichick, don't be surprised. I mean, he's made big moves for players in the past, like Stephon Gilmore. They got still a great defense over there. I would willing to bet Patriots, like I would love to see the line right before the season starts on Patriots making the playoffs, because who's to say that the AFC is going to be that dominant again, with some players leaving, some head coaches leaving, new head coaches coming in. I'd still like the Patriots to make the playoffs in this conference.
Yeah, so looking at the cap space now, the Patriots are actually third in total cap space at 68.8 million. The only two teams above them are the Jacksonville Jaguars at 82.6 and the New York Jets at 80.9. And let's be real here, those are teams that have way more holes to fill than the New England Patriots right now, and both have new head coaches compared to one of them has the GOAT. Man, I have been saying for a little while now that I think the Patriots are in a much better spot than people realize in terms of getting back to the playoffs and getting back to being that, not necessarily the best team in the AFC, but being a team that people are really scared of. They have an offensive line, which is one of the things that is almost a little mind-boggling, was that when they lost in 2019 with Tom Brady's last year against the Titans, their offensive line was one of their biggest weaknesses. They turned that around in one season. They do have some free agents that they're going to have to sign, but they nailed that right tackle in the draft. They have some good pieces. I could easily see, I don't know what happened with Kyle Van Noy to get released by the Dolphins after one season, whether he got in trouble or if they just, I have no idea what happened, but if they're able to pick him up for pennies, that's exactly what they need, because they just need to rebuild the front seven on that defense a little bit, get some skilled players and a quarterback. All of a sudden, let's not count them out.
Yeah. And also, if they really want a receiver, I know Allen Robinson is a pretty damn good one, and that fixes your problem right there. And if they're able to somehow steal a Mac Jones or Trey Lance at 15, all of a sudden, and with McDaniel still at the helm at OC, that offense, is scary again. I hate that rebuilding process just because Brady left. I think you got to understand, or people got to understand, that Belichick's the best at what he does and Brady's the best at what they do, and they just intertwine with each other, and that doesn't mean that either one of them are going to suffer if they leave or leave each other. I think Belichick can easily get back into the mix of this. Don't doubt him,